Hello everyone. Those who are watching it the first time, you might be wondering what it was that sound on the background. That is boosted Boris. If he likes what we are talking about, he will be accompanying us with the drums. If he does not like our talks, he may just interrupt us with some live drumming session, and that's life. We have to accept it. So to everybody, and also the speakers, yes, make sure the stuff is interesting. Otherwise, Boris will just mute you. A lot of drumming. So what has recently happened in the Python world? First of all, perhaps most of you or all of you know that farewell Python 2, it's officially over. If you're using Python 2, you're riding a dead horse, don't do it. Apart from that, now we know the release schedule of Python 3.9, end of May, feature freeze. That is when you can download the first public beta. And I think that the release is planned for October. Next, another interesting thing I found for you is that Microsoft has released some cool courses. These are public on YouTube. It's for beginners. It's very professionally done. They are covering mostly the basics, like what is a Lambda function, what are the generators, and so on. But if you know somebody who wants to get into Python, type it's called More Python for Beginners. It's really easy to find there. Good. Now, finally, the main news that I wanted to share with you is that there was a remote Python pizza conference last. He liked it. Boris liked this. That's good. So there was a remote Python pizza conference happening, I think, 2 weeks ago. It was something new. New in the sense that I have never seen yet the conference that was designed from the beginning to be online. So that was an interesting experience. Even though I did myself another conference online, that was a plan B. And for remote Python pizza, it was a plan A. So we invited pretty much all of the team today, and they are online, and they will be discussing and sharing the secrets of organizing remote events. First, let's greet Artur.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Anton. Hi, Boris. Hi, everyone.
Artur, you are one of the core organizers of remote Python pizza, but this is not your first conference, right? You've been active in EuroPython, or
yes,
tell a bit.
In the last couple of years, mostly in EuroPython, and in a couple of local meetups here in Krakow, including PyData and pythonic. But yeah, not a first conference. First remote conference, though. I don't think anyone from the team done a remote conference before. That was a new experience for us. Although between everyone on the team, we've done a couple of conferences before.
Cool. Yeah. So you know what you're talking about. You know how the conferences work. Here is Timur, Daria.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have no idea where to point. This is Daria.
Yes.
And this is Artur.
Yes, and we also have Alex on the call, I believe.
And Alex is right here next to me. Oh, that's fun. Good.
Yes.
So, the first question. I know that Python Pizza was not initially remote. There were events happening, as you said, in Italy somewhere. The name suggests, then in Berlin and in Hamburg. So there was a switch, and I guess Corona was the reason for it. So did you have any issues with expectations of the people, with the whole brand, that something that was offline suddenly went online? You had to communicate it differently, and you had to organize it differently. And the main question is why you even had to do it if you had sort of a working model of a conference that is offline, and suddenly you have to do it online.
Okay, so I like to say one thing at the beginning, that in terms of like organizing Python pizzas, every Python pizza is organized by basically a different team. The story of Python pizza starts like a couple of years ago in Naples, where it was first organized, I think 2017 maybe, and the Marco and Patrick and a couple of other people, they registered the domain names, and it moved from there. Then Christian brought it to Berlin, where I guess it became sort of more popular. There were two Python pizzas in Berlin. And then actually it was supposed to be the next Python pizza in Berlin in May, which I think was postponed. And in April was supposed to be Python pizza in Mannheim, also organized by different teams. But in March, the COVID situation happened. Then you moved FrontConf online. We'd seen that it worked. And from there, like literally like 22nd of March, we decided, okay, let's make a conference, which was not planned before. And then let's do it while the lockdowns are still there. So let's do it at the end of April. And basically in like 30 something days, we organized conference from beginning to the end and actually delivered the full event online.
You had to decide fast.
Yes.
How fast did you agree?
Well, it was very quick. Like we had an initial idea like in the afternoon, like March 22nd. We set up a call that evening to like decide all the things like start a Slack, Google Drive, Trello, set up Tato, set up the CFP form, etc. And like within 24 hours, we had the CFP form opened and we had the ticket sales ready to go and started selling tickets. So it was very, very quick operation from like the very beginning of the idea to, hey, let's do the conference remotely, which we never done before, to actually having the call for proposals online and ticket selling was like less than 24 hours.
So your speed suggests that it is easier to do the online conference. Is that true?
I would say so. There are both pros and cons. I can talk about the pros and maybe somebody else can talk about the cons. The big pro is that you don't have to find the venue and you don't have to pay for the venue as well. You don't have to book the venue. So that's a big thing compared to like the regular conference. There's no catering, even though the pizza is in the name. Everybody can order their own pizza as well. It's definitely cheaper to run, so you don't have to plan the budget as much. You don't have to, there's less planning involved because there's less moving parts. And there are other moving parts that happen that do not happen on the regular event, like time zones. But maybe, I don't know, Alex can talk about more about that. Alex, would you like to join us?
Yeah, Alex is asking about you, but from what I see, Alex does not wear headphones.
Okay, so Alex can hear us.
The call because Skype is not accepting anymore. So.
Oh no, that's dramatic. Yeah.
Okay, so I can continue then with what's the harder parts. So one of the harder parts is definitely time zones, and we had speakers from all over the world. It may not be like obvious from the very beginning, but we set up the schedule so that it goes from like east to west. So the first we had speakers from Singapore, Taiwan, India, and then moving toward Europe. And most of the speakers were actually from Europe. So like by I think 7 p.m. Central European time, we moved to mostly American speakers. And then continue from there with Brazil and the US for all of the 12, 13 hours of conference, including the breaks. Other problems that you usually don't have with the regular conference is the speaker onboarding, because you have to sort of set everyone up with the proper calls, with the proper setup. We did hours and hours of testing in the week prior to the conference with everyone. And recording, scalable streaming service. It was surprisingly relatively easy to do because we had Zoom from, we used the EuroPython's Zoom account to do that, and then you basically press the button and streams to YouTube. And as long as YouTube stream works, which it crashed twice during the conference, then it's okay. Yes.
No way.
Yes, but maybe let's not talk about the crashing. What else? I'm just looking at my notes here. The COC enforcement is definitely different than on the in-person event because you have to do everything online.
COC. This is a good subtopic. Alex said me to moderate Discord. You did not like Gustav. What's your problem with Gustav? My name was Gustav on the street.
Yes.
Gustav what?
Yes.
Gustav Schwarzer-Tracher.
It was a name.
Yeah. Daria, did you monitor it? I remember you have some experience in that.
I monitored it a little bit because we were struggling to write COC this time. We have some experience with physical conferences, but we have to think about a COC before this online conference. So we were thinking how to do it in the better way, and we understood that we need to look twice what the people are writing and different channels and different groups. But I think we adapt pretty well what we already knew. So, and I don't think we have any issue this time. So
good job, Daria.
It's very good community and very friendly people.
These are good news. But have you been bored? I mean, you have so much experience of dealing with assholes, and if you didn't have any, what did you do?
Normally we have a lot of very good people, so I don't think I deal with a lot of strange people on the conferences. So this time, since we have we're locked at homes and really struggling with connections, and we organize this one to be to contact to people, to talk with them, to meet our old friends and meet another new people and have new connections. So I think everybody was so excited about that. So nobody can really think about do some weird and bad things to other people.
But didn't you miss the challenge?
Sorry?
Didn't you miss the challenge? Like, we don't have code of conduct for this show. And the reason is, I'm wondering how creative people get. What to expect? I have no idea. So maybe I will introduce one, but I don't know what they can do. And I'm thrilled to experience what could possibly go wrong here. Yeah, but if something will go wrong, I will have to adjust. It's a social experiment, let's say. Good. Well, I'm happy, Daria, that you enjoyed it. How about the participants? So can somebody of you say, like, normally I made a lot of surveys of the conference people. They go for networking. They go to meet their friends, to chat. Many want to stay even on the hallway track. So want it or not, but online that's not possible. So I guess you had to sell something else. What was this else?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess everyone came for their own reasons. One of the things that was special about this event, I guess, is because we were raising the money for Doctors Without Borders. So that was one special thing compared to compared to the rest of the conferences. And we, in the end, raised more than 11,000 euros for Doctors Without Borders. So that was good. And I think, like, in general, people like the event. We had more than 450 people on the event. So that's, as far, like, to date, like, the biggest pizza event so far. It's basically like half, well, yeah. It's like a bit less than half the size of EuroPython, if you think about it. So
True.
So it's a quite a bit event, right? So people definitely like the forum. We didn't have any complaints so far, and people seem to enjoy networking on Discord a lot. We had a sophisticated setup with a lot of channels, so then you can follow up the conversation with the speaker later on. Then you can create your own new channels. We had a cafeteria channel where people posted pictures of the pizzas all day long.
Oh, that made me so hungry.
Yes.
This is around the time when I left, so I thought, oh god, this is not ending good.
Yeah. And you can have both text interactions as well as voice interactions on Discord. So you can have like kind of a good proxy for the regular conference. It's not the same, obviously, but it can get pretty close. The after party voice channel on Discord was active until like 3 a.m. That's Central European time. So 4 or 5 hours after the official conference ending. So it was still, I would say, success, and people enjoyed it a lot. We had like a very, very sophisticated setup with Discord, and we'd like to thank Jason for that, who helped us set us up. But it took a lot of work to set it up in the way that it was set up, but I think it enhanced the conference a lot. So yeah, thanks, Jason.
Probably some of the company was struggling to pay for the tickets. We had this good idea about donation to the Without Borders, but not all the people. Some people with this very uncertainty time have problems. So we run also financial aid and have a lot of people that can join us. So on the other hand, we have sponsors, but at the same time, we want to help all the people to join us and to join the conference.
Well, that was a great idea with Doctors Without Borders. I think that many people supported it for this reason in the first place. Well done, really well done. And here Next, finally, this one is direct. You have to admit that you started it because of the Corona lockdown. So now if it would be over and you need to organize the next one, online or offline?
Why not both? I mean, those are not like mutually exclusive events. The format is definitely slightly different, so you can run both online and offline events. And I guess there will be definitely more offline pizzas in the future. The Mannheim pizza, for example, which is supposed to happen in April, is officially postponed until autumn. So hopefully it will happen then. But yeah, that's speaking about like online events, I guess it's a good way to plug in that there's some new developments in the pizza universe. And we're actually planning something new online in the next couple of weeks, which has a working name of the Python Pizza Show. So
we never actually heard it somewhere.
Yeah, we actually never mentioned it publicly before, but this is a nice opportunity to do it here since it's also a Python show. But we basically want to bring the Lightning Talks experience from the conference online, and we want to run like an hour-long show with Lightning Talks.
You need a lot of them then. 5 minutes, 1 hour.
Well, yes.
12.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's basically the same that you would have on a conference, typical Lightning Talks session. So the Lightning Talks coming from a CFP and then a bit of emceeing in between with maybe a light Q&A, something like that. And we have a landing page right now. I'm not sure if it's already working, but it's show.python.pizza. So you can sign up there with your email so to get more news. And we'll be posting some more information in the next couple of weeks.
So is it right that this is basically a short version of the conference?
Yeah, we like to think about like a slice of pizza every couple of weeks.
Nice.
So yeah, instead of like a full event, you can just like run like a shorter version.
All right. Will I get the royalty for the name?
We'll think about it. So far, we only have the landing page, so you can sign up there at Show Python Pizza, and we will definitely be posting more updates on Twitter. And you can follow us on Twitter at Python Pizza Conf, and then we will post all the updates there. So we'll be up to date
when we in comments. I could type it right now, but yes. I'm too lazy. So you are more people. Somebody can go to YouTube, type it in comments, both landing page and my CFP or whatever you have. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of missed the voice of Timur here. Timur, can you speak?
Oh yeah, I can definitely speak.
Well, that's a great voice. Oh. Will you be the voice of Python Pizza Show?
I don't know yet. I cannot really maybe. What?
Really good. Yeah.
I'm not sure yet that I can fully contribute into the talks because I'm not quite a professional Python developer. I'm a cloud architect, but we'll see. We'll see.
Cool. All right. So if you do it, then we might buy some voice samples from you to maybe do the opening of our show. Good. Then again, really good job with the events and really nice gesture that you are donating the profit. This is really nice, and I wish you all the best with the future events. Hold on, there is a question from Remote Python Pizza. Let's read it out. It's an interesting one. How come you can dedicate all this time to a conference?
The thing that motivated me even to start participating in it is that you could kind of contribute to something good to organize, to organize into this conference to bring the money to the doctors. This was driving like a lot, and also the energy of other co-organizers. This was like everyone was pushing with their full energy, and this was motivating personally me even more.
You see, your voice resonates. It's not just me. All right. Thank you very much again. And here we say bye, and we proceed with our program. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Boris, will you play us something? How about that? Very good. So we have a break of a couple of minutes, and during this couple of minutes, Boris will rock with his solo drum show. All right, let's start. Bravo, bravo, bravo. This is Boris, yes. If I say something wrong, you start hitting drums as hell. It means no. So, Boris is a software engineer. He works at Cloud and he's doing the Azure architecture things. Right. Apart from that, as you can see, he's a musician. He is a guy full of emotions, so we thought this show makes sense as a good match for him to express them. I'm also sorry for speakers who are getting interrupted, but that's life. Boris here represents the audience. He is also a software developer, so he understands everything that you're saying, basically. And if something is lacking in your talk, then Boris just fills it in with his drums. I hope everybody loves it, at least I do. Great, cool. Thank you, Boris, a lot. By the way, Boris has a blog. This is a link on Medium. He will post more interesting stuff there, I think, especially about the setup that he has here, because this is not something trivial. We had to struggle a lot to get this thing working with a broadcast of the electronic drums, but now we have it. Good. Our next speaker is Yaroslav. Yaroslav.
Hi, Anton. Hello, listeners.
Hi.
Thanks for inviting.
Thanks for participating. Last time I have heard this talk, it was about exactly a year ago at PyMunich. I remember it was more or less the starting point, the first time I have heard about it, the script server, and I'm wondering how did it develop after that. So before we start with your presentation, maybe I just have a few questions, general ones. I'm wondering how this works. So you started the project yourself. How much time per week you have to spend to keep it active?
I mean, I started quite some years ago already. I made it public 3 years ago, so it is live some time already. But I wasn't promoting actively, so basically nobody learned or knew about it. I try to spend as much time as I can, but especially for the last time, it's not so easy. But usually I try to keep like 5-10 hours a week after the work to keep it alive. Unfortunately, it's far from being a knife. But yeah, it just slowly progresses, far from the pace of enterprise software, but good enough for my users, I hope.
Boris liked it. Yaroslav, and after you started it, you say you didn't promote it much. So how much time has passed when you got your first pull request, approximately?
Well, my first pull request was about fixing the README. I'm not sure if fixing the type on the README counts, but since then, like 2.5 years. Oh no, sorry, 3.5 years. But the proper pull request was like 2.5 years ago with some small bug fix or small improvement.
Nice, cool. It's great to hear the open source stories, and we have many people in our Python community who do this, but every time I hear it on the conference or here, it sounds so easy, but it's not.
Yeah, I would agree. I think for me the hardest part is to be like the mental stress, because some people are waiting something from you. They want to use a tool, but it's not enough for them. And then they create a ticket and you don't have the time, because even 5 or 10 hours a week is like far from being enough. And then your queue of like the depth is accumulating, and you understand that people are waiting for you and you can't do anything for them. And yeah, this is your kind of it's your child, and yeah, you don't have time to do.
Did you have any nasty assholes saying like, it does not work?
I try to keep the quality very high. For me, it's the highest priority. And to be honest, I did not have like this huge tickets like that it doesn't work at all. I have some bugs that it doesn't work this way, but usually it was like edge cases.
Very good. Good job. Cool. So you have a presentation for us, right?
Yeah, I would like to talk a little bit more detailed about my tool. Amazing. Thank you. So Today we'll talk about script server. Basically, it's a web interface for different scripts, and more details will follow. First, a little bit about myself. I'm a professional Java developer with about 10 years of experience. I know that probably PyMunich is the worst place to talk about being Java developer. In self-defense, I would admit that after I learned Python, I'm not so proud of this title anymore. And it's not so relevant to the topic. What is relevant to this topic is that I really love scripts, and I love Python, and I love Linux with Bash scripts. And so as a developer, I write a lot of scripts. I just randomly picked one folder with scripts on my PC, and in 1 year, this folder has 30 scripts, and there are much more other folders which have project-specific scripts. So I have a lot of them. And I'm usually a generous person, and I like sharing the stuff which I have, and I like to share the scripts which I have with other users. For example, developers or tech support. So to make their work faster or easier or to have less pain. The problem with sharing scripts, it's usually a huge pain for other users. Even for developers, it can be different environment. For example, it could be Python 3.4 or Python 3.8. It's already a huge difference, or different module versions. Another problem with sharing the scripts, usually it accepts some arguments, or it has some CLI, and manuals are not so nice, or even if they're nice, it's really hard to read about them. You need to spend a lot of time to understand how it works. The third problem is security. Some of my scripts have some private information like passwords or whatever, and I cannot just share these passwords so easily, especially considering they are to some production data, and some non-technical people should not even have access to them. And the fourth problem is for some users, this PL, Py, or SH files don't tell absolutely anything. It can be it's some file. At most they can know about .exe file, but that's basically it. So how to solve it? For me, Python is a solution to most of the problems. And what I did, I created a web interface for the users where users can nicely and easy access the scripts. And these scripts are wrapped by some server-side component, which is running on my machine, and users can access all the scripts through this web interface, and which are being forwarded by the server. And this is basically what a script server in a nutshell. It's a server which serves the data to the web UI. If we talk a little bit more about architecture and how it works underneath, script server consists of two parts. It's front end, which is on Vue.js, and back end, which is driven by Tornado web service. And basically, it has no other dependencies. It's just pure sub-process and PTI runners which execute processes. Yeah, and that's the idea of the script server, that I just propagate the output of the processes which you run, which is your script, and I give it to the user. And the user sees just an input form where he can input parameters, and he can send his input during the runtime, for example. And this is a core part of the script server, is to make script easily accessible to the user via this simple interface, and having this intermediate or mediator level as a server in between, with hiding all the details, all the complications, and all the security part. And I could compare a lot of different features with other tools, like, for example, Rundeck. Extremely easy to open the UI, put one text, and click the button. Basically, that's it. And it should be really fast. That users should see the results immediately. They should not be confused without waiting or whatever. And it also should be fast for the developers or administrators to configure it. And regarding the fast, I have one small story. I'm parsing special ANSI codes. I hear some voices. All right. So I am parsing special ANSI codes, for example, colors or terminal clearing for some complex outputs, which I will display later. And the problem was that I'm doing this parsing on the server side, and then sending chunks of data to the UI, where UI is parsing additionally this prepared data. And the problem is that it had a huge load on the server side, and it was still slow because of double parsing. And the idea was, okay, I will move all the parsing to the UI part, so the server part will be really dumb. And then I just found a really nice component, which is called extern.js. It's basically a terminal implementation for web. And I opened the page, it had a lot of features, and it was even using GPU acceleration to render the stuff. For me, it was like, wow, amazing. My terminal will be extremely fast. So I just spent 1 or 2 evenings, implemented everything, it kind of worked. And then I used my test case with 10,000 lines of output, which is basically a normal, some users sent me such output. So I knew that it exists in real life. So just 10,000 lines of output, which was slow for my machine. And I just ran it with extern.js. And browser just literally died. It didn't even get all the data. It just died when getting 1/4 of the data, and it couldn't process it at all. And the story behind that, I had to adjust everything on the server side and on the front-end side to make it incredibly fast. And I even published an article where I was doing a lot of performance optimizations on the front end and even rewriting some browser core methods to make it extremely fast. And yeah, so fast is really one of my main focuses. A little bit statistics, they're quite shy, I would say, about the project. I would not read them. You can read them themselves. One of the things which I'm really proud of is the last point. It's like one independent article. It happened like last December, before Christmas Eve. It was like a present for me for the Christmas. I found like that there are spike on views on my project. And then I found that all these views are coming from a Medium article where one Israel DevOps, senior DevOps, published very detailed article about my tool with a lot of positive feedback and with a lot of detailed description what is good there. And I'm really appreciating such effort of writing this article, and I'm really happy that one person, is, even without telling me, published so like amazing as for me article. Yeah. I think I talked enough. Let me go to the demo and show it how it works in real life. I have a demo server. Basically, you can also open it. It's just script-server.net. You can open it even now. It doesn't hurt. And yeah, on the left side, you can see a list of scripts which I prepared. I will start with a simple one, which is called calculator, which is I implemented a very simple Python script which calculates some values. For example, we can say there is a value of 13, of 25, and then we can subtract one from another. It just calls the server on the remote machine and gives you the result. Pretty simple. The configuration is also very simple. Yeah, this is basic idea. If you go a little bit more complicated, there is a tic-tac-toe script which I took from this guy. So it's not even implemented by me. I just basically downloaded the sh file and said, okay, just run it. And then when I click the button, the game starts. As you can see, there is a tic-tac-toe field. I can do different inputs for putting crosses or rounds, like let's say in the middle. And then you can see that they appear, right? And yeah, so I was just submitting the input. UI was rendering itself. You can also see some colors there. And yeah, as you can see, the feedback like is immediate. As soon as I put the input, the output is there. And yeah, another tool which I also kind of reused. I don't know if, I hope you are all fans of Star Wars, so you like this movie at least. So there's a, yeah, I also love it. So there is a possibility to telnet to this host, and it will show you Star Wars in ASCII. So let me show you with PuTTY how it works. So there is a host, you do telnet to it, and as soon as you open it, it starts streaming you Star Wars movie. It's not YouTube. It happened before. It was there before YouTube, but yeah, you can see that there are some starting, and then there will be some video. And so yeah, so on and so forth. You can see that there is some kind of an ASCII video here, and then let's close it. It's just a normal terminal, and then you can do this exactly the same thing in script server. So you run it here, you get the same output, and then it's immediately rendered here, and exactly the same. All the ASCII support without any delays, real time, yeah, you can see it here. And I would say I spent quite some time to make this real time happen without any delays, without any memory problems, but I'm really happy how it works now. And yeah, this is basically about the UI part for the users. I hope it is pretty easy and straightforward, because for most of the scripts, it's just one button. A non-tech person cannot do a mistake, usually. And yeah, another possibility is how to configure it. Basically, when I was giving a talk 1 year ago, this feature was not there, and all the configurations were done in JSON files. Now you have a possibility to configure everything admin UI. It's a pretty simple one. I wouldn't say that advanced and easy to use, but as for me, it's good enough, better than JSON. So let's say create some script. We call it ping, for example. We specify which command we want to invoke. It's just a ping, and let's say it's a Linux ping utility. And then we add a parameter, which is host, and it is required. Basically, that's it. We don't need anything else. And if we go back to the UI, we can see our script here, ping2. And if we put the parameter text here, it will invoke the script and give us the result immediately. Yeah, as you know, Linux ping runs unlimited, and we need to constrain it. If we want, we can add a couple of more parameters. Let's say count, which is -c, and it is integer from 1 to 10. And then we can also have print timestamp, which is -d, and it is only flag, so we don't have any value there. User don't need to put any input. And we save it. Oops. So if we go back to the page, you can see all the 3 fields here. We can put some count here. We cannot put -1 because it's controlled. We can also print timestamps, and then the host, google.com. And yeah, you can see everything works. Let me jump back to the presentation. Another use case which I was really amazed to find was Gentoo player. One guy created a so-called Gentoo player, which is a Linux distribution for audio fields. It's very lightweight and very fast, so audio performance and audio quality is the best. And the guys created it in like 1.5 years ago. But last December, since this very lightweight, he has no user interface in this operating system. And he has a bunch of scripts. So he decided to start using script server as a UI for this operating system. So what he did, he took the script server, adopted the interface, and put all the scripts for managing this operating system and all audio parameters in the script server. So on the left side here, you can see there are a bunch of parameters, and there is a huge scroll where different audio fields select and configure their hardware. Like most of them are running them on Raspberry Pi. And it is like 3 megabytes the image of the script server. You can put it almost anywhere. And it's Python driven without any dependencies. So I find it's really cool that the script server was very helpful for many people just through this additional tool. I could hardly imagine doing it with Jenkins, to be honest. And to wrap it up, my future plans is to add scheduler. At the moment, all the scripts are real-time. As soon as you want, you get the result immediately. And many people are requesting, like, why I want to have a tool, one tool to go without jumping between cron jobs and this UI. So please introduce a scheduler for us, which was a little bit strange for me. It's a little bit different use case, but why not? And then I realized that also when probably I can do some REST calls to remote servers. For example, if some backend developer, as a backend developer myself, for me it's easy to introduce some endpoint, but it's hard to introduce some UI. So if I will have a possibility in script server to configure the access to this endpoint with some simple parameters and some body, then it would be like amazing. Just UI in a couple of clicks and endpoint is already there. It would be really nice. So this is future plans. I would like to work on design improvements. I'm really bad in design, so probably I will just try to hire someone. It's quite simple at the moment, but I think it should be a little bit more professional. And yeah, my other plan is to host open source tools. So you have some scripts or CLI tools, which you can put publicly available. You can contact me and I can add them to demo server. So users would be able to call your scripts directly and they will run on my machine. Yeah. And that's it. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you very much. Hi Yaroslav. Can you give tips on how to start to contribute to open source projects? How to choose the right project to work? That's a hard one.
Wow, as for me, I would say it's pretty easy for me. Since recent changes, I was adopting some framework in my tool. And while adopting it, I found a lot of issues and bugs there. And I just was going randomly and putting either issues or was going to chat with the developers of this tool and trying to discuss how it should work or what could be improved there. Or you can also, if you have a bug, and if you understand that it's a pretty simple one, then just try to ask developers if it's hard. Maybe they will just point you to some file where it can be fixed. And yeah, just go for it. Usually, if you've worked with some tools, you know some problems or pain points which can be improved. And don't be shy, just go to this project and ask the developers about it. They will be really happy that you will help them and they will guide through the process. For example, recently I had a bug, a small bug, and one guy said if he can help me with it. I just told me which file to fix and was just commenting on the pull request, what can be improved and giving some tips. And even he had like almost no experience with object-oriented programming or Python, but still in the end we managed to do it and he was really happy that he could contribute to the project. So just don't be shy and go to the projects and submit your issues. And or some projects I also seen that you can, there are some tickets, you go through these tickets and they are even labeled like good for beginners.
It's a nice idea with the labels. Cool. I think we don't have any more questions right now, but now we planned the Skype session. Can we have a big fat round of applause or drums for Yaroslav?
Good job. Thank you very much for your talk. We will be joining now a Skype call, like all of us, and this is public and this is not recorded and this is not streamed. So I'm sending a link right now in comments. So this link goes in the group call where the speakers are. So we can chat, we can see each other, share the news maybe, and ask more questions to Yaroslav and Python Pizza people. And for everybody who is not up to public chat, thanks for watching. I see you actually next week.